anyone speaking? Bonjour. Bonjour. Ani Kinawea. Hello, everybody. Wabanaki Dajnakas, Magazine Doram, Anishinaabe Nishmani Dokendao, Muating Donjaba, Taslan First Nation, Mississauga First Nation Donji. My name is Kimberly Pelche. I am White Feather Woman. I am Eagle Clan. I'm a Two-Spirit female. I'm a registered member of Thessalon First Nation. My mother's family is from Mississauga First Nation. I live in Sault Ste. Marie, otherwise known as Wawating. I am the traditional helper. My regular job is I'm the traditional helper at the Dan Pine Healing Lodge for Garden River First Nation. And I want to say thank you to NWAC and Amnesty International for asking me to come speak with them this evening on the Faceless Doll project through NWAC. Next slide, please.
Okay. Thank you, Kim, for introducing yourself and for being part of this event. And we're sincerely grateful for you taking the time this evening to join us. And I think we can go ahead with the webinar for today. So good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us this evening. My name is Gaga, and I'm part of the Amnesty International Gender Rights Specialized Team, specifically the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women Two-Spirit Sub-Group. Our team has been very grateful to collaborate with the Native Women Association of Canada to launch a visual version of the Faceless Doll project. So before we go into the agenda for this evening, I would like us to take a moment for the land acknowledgement. So today, we acknowledge the area known as the Greater Toronto Area. This is a land that has historically and continuously belonged to the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, and the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. As we gather as Amnesty International Canada activists from different regions, we join not only to reflect on our relationship to the land around us, but also to engage with these communities in meaningful ways that allow for dialogue while acknowledging our own history. We recognize that our effort will continue to respect and actively challenge the erasure of Indigenous people, cultures, languages, and territories. We believe that every day presents an opportunity for us to decolonize the spaces that we take up and advocate for the rights of various Indigenous groups of the Turtle Island. So with that being said, tonight we have the opportunity to hear from Kim Pelche from the Native Women Association of Canada. We have the chance to learn more about the organization, the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women, Girls, and 2+ campaign, and calls to action that participants can take regarding the issue, and a little bit about the Faceless Doll project that has been taking place in the past. From there, we introduce the visual campaign and explain how it works and how you can participate. We leave some time at the end for questions and answers, and please be informed that this webinar is always going to be recorded and will be used as a resource for the campaign throughout the period that is going to be run. And now I have the pleasure to hand over the mic to Kim Pelche, who is a member of Native Women Association of Canada. She has already introduced herself, but if she can introduce herself for other people that have just joined the webinar, that will also be good. And then she will take us through the presentation that she has for us. So over to you, Kim.
Thank you so much. Did you say you wanted me to introduce myself again? My little guy's got his video going in the background.
Yes, please, just a simple introduction. Okay. That would be good. Thank you.
Bonjour, Ani Kinawea, Wabanaki Dajnakas, Magazine Doram, Anishinaabe Nishmani Dokendao. My name is Kimberly Pelche. I am Eagle Clan. My name is White Feather Woman. I belong to Thessalon First Nation. My mother's family is from Mississauga First Nation. I live in Sault Ste. Marie or Wawating. I want to say thank you again to everybody in attending and everybody who has helped organize. And I think I'm going to share my screen now and then start with the presentation. So you just give me a second. So I just want to go through this presentation with you. Then NWAC put together this beautiful presentation And I'm grateful because I am not so great in doing all these. Oh, sorry. Just 1 second, please.
So can I put YouTube on the TV?
No, you can call Papa on your iPad. So working from home, sometimes we have to have our little people with us. So this is Mr. B, everybody. Okay, honey, you can go call Papa on your iPad. I need 1 hour, please.
I missed you.
I missed you too. 1 hour, please. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. As a single parent, a lot of my time is spent with my little person. So I'm grateful for NWAC for putting together this beautiful presentation because this is beyond my skill set. So just going to figure out how to, just give me a second here. Go through the outline for the presentation that they made. So they've got some sections about NWAC, what is MMIWG2S plus, the National Inquiry, the NWAC's action plan, what you can do in NWAC's Faceless Doll project. So NWAC is the national voice for Indigenous women, girls, and gender diverse people since 1974. They are engaging in national and international advocacy aimed at legislative policy reform, and they're working towards the preservation of Indigenous culture and advancing the well-being of all Indigenous women, girls, and gender diverse people. What is MMIWG2S plus? In Canada, Indigenous women face higher rates of violence, intimate partner violence, family violence, and sexual assault. Violence against women and girls emerges from the complex intersection of race, gender, and socioeconomic status. The failure to report incidents of violence or disappearances has greatly compromised the safety of Indigenous women, girls, and gender diverse people. The National Inquiry into MMIWG2S plus. And I have to say something here. So I've worked with organizations locally, grassroots organizations and movements to help educate and provide access for this cause. And I want to also acknowledge Gladys Reddick, and you can Google her and her actions. Somebody in her family went missing, and she rallied communities across Canada to promote the need for the National Inquiry, and her tireless efforts ensured that there was a National Inquiry. So I say kudos to Gladys Reddick for making that happen. So the ongoing violence and disappearances of Indigenous women and girls led to the 2016 National Inquiry into Murdered and Missing Indigenous Women and Girls. A national body established to report on the systemic causes of violence against Indigenous women and girls. And in 2019, the National Inquiry released their final report, which determined the violence faced by Indigenous women and girls constitutes genocide. And the National Inquiry outlines 231 calls for justice and to end this genocide. And it's also important to notice that I understand the great work that NWAC does, but I also work with some agencies and organizations that are below the medicine line. So I want to really talk about the imaginary line that our people call the medicine line, which is the border between Canada and the United States. So when they drew that line, it's important to know that families were separated by political, the politicalness of the borders. So I do get called to work in the United States, but because of COVID, I have not traveled, but I still do work with organizations in Michigan. And one of them is called Uniting Three Fires Against Violence. And I'm hoping that I can put those into the chat box so you guys can check them out. So they do a lot of advocacy work too. And what I really like about the Uniting Three Fires Against Violence, they've shortened the acronym to MMIP, Murdered and Missing Indigenous People. So it's inclusive because the statistics show that the rise or the inclusion of boys and men is equally as important. And it's such a heart-wrenching thought to think that just our people are just going missing and nobody really does anything about it. Answering the calls, the legal imperatives, the 231 calls for justice are legal imperatives that must be acted upon. The National Inquiry outlines specific calls for all levels of government, industries, institutions, services, and partnerships for all Canadians. NWAC's action plan. NWAC is taking action to respond to the calls to justice to end the ongoing genocide of MMIWG2S+. NWAC developed an action plan with 65 concrete actions. Actions were developed using a holistic, decolonized, and trauma-informed approach. In our actions, we address the importance of incorporating self-determined and Indigenous-led solutions and services when addressing MMIWG2S+. The Resiliency Lodge model. So there are two lodges right now. A core action NWAC has taken is the development of our Resiliency Lodge model. It's land-based healing through elder-centered programming, holistic approach for Indigenous women and gender diverse people. The Resiliency Lodge model. The Resiliency Lodge is a culmination of a multitude of factors, including elders who have long been calling for the creation of spaces that address Indigenous women and gender diverse peoples need to heal in a culturally safe environment. The success of a similar healing model in Mexico, Casas de la Mejor Indigena e Africano Mexicana. The calls to action number 21 in the Truth and Reconciliation of Canada's report. And I'd asked for that to be part of the resources if people want it. And the calls for justice 2.5, 3.2, and 7.1 to 7.6, 18.18 and 18.19 from the National Inquiry into MMIWG. They've included pictures of the Resiliency Lodge, and this is the Chelsea Lodge in Quebec. So this is one of the rooms that our community members would stay in. And they wanted to make healing, a holistic approach to healing, incorporated into every part of their stay there. So this is a picture, and I wish they didn't blue it out, but this is actually a copper bathtub. So copper for our people is considered to be our metal. And I live in Sault Ste. Marie, so Bruce Mines is not too far from here, and our people harvested and gathered copper for many items, and it's renowned for its healing qualities. And when they were talking to the elders, they understood that some people might find it very difficult to be immersed in water, just the weight of the water on them. So they have this copper tub if people thought they could take a bath, but they've also included copper foot baths. So they have copper foot baths so that people don't feel like they're so like they're drowning or they're too heavy in the tub. But oh man, I had told my supervisor, I said, we need copper foot baths here too. So the picture on the right with the bear, on the left with the big bear rug, that's the yoga room. And on your right is the pool area. So it's inclusive to make sure that all models of therapy are included. This is the Wabanaki Lodge, and it's in New Brunswick. It is built, still being renovated. Excuse me, renovated to ensure that it offers the same quality of services as the Chelsea does in Quebec. Just 1 second, please. So this is an actual working farm. So it's being renovated to make sure that all services can happen here too. And this is very land-based. So it's on a large piece of property. So answering the calls for the NWAC's action plan. So what we can do to move forward in a good way and to help. We can read, we can become informed by reading the National Inquiry's final report and NWAC's action plan. We can engage, we can follow Indigenous creators and learn about MMIWG2S Plus from the community. And I spoke about a couple of agencies and organizations. So Uniting Three Fires Against Violence is one of them, and that's the one out of Michigan. I also do work with NWAC and that's the Grandmothers Council locally here. So the that's a local grassroots group of grandmothers and aunties who are working towards ending the violence in the Algoma district in Ontario. And I also do work with the Indigenous Anti-Women's Workforce. They do a lot of work as well here. And I'm sure that everywhere around the world there are grassroots groups who are working towards ensuring that we are coming together to provide education and advocacy for those who are affected by MMIWG2S. We can share information from trusted sources with your social network. So I'm not a spring chicken anymore. The end of my social network will be Facebook. Like my older children keep asking me to get all these other things, but it's just too much for me. So Facebook is it. I might be out of the loop, but people can find me on Facebook. Honor. We can participate in events honoring MMIWG2S Plus. So the Indigenous Women's Anti-Violence Task Force has their event on February 12th to honor the Montreal Massacre. Uniting Three Fires Against Violence has their event on September the 11th. The Grandmothers Council joins in with other national and local and regional events that are happening, and they do a lot of work in supporting people who are walking to raise awareness for MMIWG2S Plus. We can raise our voices and create opportunities to participate in dialogue and to support Indigenous voices on MMIWG2S Plus. And we can donate, support Indigenous and organizations working on MMIWG2S Plus. So donating to NWAC, which is reliant on shaky government funding. Uniting Three Fires Against Violence in Michigan also accepts donations. And the Grandmothers Council, Kigadowak-Nukmasak, also takes donations, and they work towards ensuring advocacy and support for those people who are trying to leave those situations where they might be in danger. And talking about NWAC's Faceless Dolls project, I thought I had my Faceless doll here because I think I led 2 Faceless Dolls workshops for NWAC, and they were very well attended, and I was very honored to be asked to do that. So before the national inquiry into MMIWG, NWAC was and continues to be a leading voice advocating to end this ongoing violence. The Faceless Dolls project began in 2012 to raise awareness on MMIWG2S Plus and give a voice to the voiceless. I apologize if you guys can hear my little guy. He's playing a video game online with Papa. The dolls are a visual and physical reminder of Indigenous women who have become faceless victims. The project began with the vision of creating 600 dolls in memory and honor of MMIWG2S Plus survivors and their families. Ooh, what just happened here? The dolls are a visual and physical reminder of Indigenous women who have become faceless victims. Indigenous women, girls, and gender diverse people were invited to attend community workshops to create their own faceless doll. Nearly 20 workshops were held across Canada. Material workshops were provided by NWAC. And when they sent a kit, I wish I would have taken a picture of how beautifully put together these kits were. So they, like if you can imagine a large Ziploc bag, every bit of that was taped down so it laid flat. They included traditional medicines, a beautiful face mask. I'm just looking to see if I have one right here. I do. A beautiful face mask. Stuff to keep us safe during COVID. So the little soap petals, it's called. So you just have to wet them and they're soap, but they also included sanitizing wipes some of them had, but look how gorgeous this mask is. I hope you can see that. That's part of the stuff that they included in the kit. And kudos to NWAC for the kits and the work that they're doing in order to ensure building community capacity across Canada by offering kits to so many people. Like, I can't even imagine the work that they've done, and making sure that people are building community. So I can't tell you how many friends I've made virtually through Zoom with NWAC, and I'm honored and grateful to have friends all across Canada. Over 600 dolls were created and displayed in a traveling exhibit in 2013. In 2019, they launched phase 2 of the Faceless Doll project, where they encouraged youth to engage in activities designed to connect their hearts, spirits, and sense of self. NWAC provided participants with materials to put a face on their dolls, a visual symbol of healing to represent that Indigenous women and girls are no longer faceless. Yeah, Monica. And I don't think they're doing the masks anymore, but I have to say, I attended a lot of the events, and I've been giving mine out because I felt like I couldn't keep them all for myself. But I am going to be one of those people who will be wearing a mask for a very long time. My little person is at high risk for catching COVID or having complications from COVID. We're both vaccinated, but he has asthma and allergies, and I am so scared about that. And I'm also providing my care for my aunt who just moved into a long-term care facility, and she won't be going home. And I have to get swabbed every time I go in. And if I don't get to go see her, there's nobody else who goes to see her. So I see her every second day. So the masks are from NWAC. I am honored and grateful to receive them and glad to be a part of the work that NWAC is doing. So this work encourages youth to engage in activities designed to connect their hearts, spirits, and sense of self. And these are the examples of the work created by people who attended the NWAC workshops online through Zoom. So this is phase 1. You can look at the dolls. They don't have any faces on them. And I'm not sure if they gave any of the examples of the other ones. Moving into 2022, NWAC continues to host Faceless Dolls workshops through Resiliency Lodge and have created a faceless doll display in their new building, and their new building is in Gatineau, Quebec. NWAC looks forward to the continuous growth of the Faceless Doll project to amplify our voices and honor MMIWG2S survivors and their families. Miigwech. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about the Two-Spirit people. So it's really important to recognize and understand that a lot of the time, Two-Spirit people will not access supports and services. They're very leery of asking the police for help. They usually don't want to go to the hospital to receive medical services. And that's true for a lot of our Indigenous people. The racism that we face when trying to access services, whether police, hospital, mental health services, is just debilitating. And I wish that things would change so that people didn't have to feel that they weren't safe when they were accessing services, because I think if they were able to access services, a lot of them murdered and missing wouldn't happen. And for a lot of them, like right now, it's getting warmer out. And in my own community, I'm able to see people who are homeless. So that's really heartbreaking. And when my little person isn't in the vehicle with me, I usually carry paper bags with stuff like granola bars, a piece of fresh fruit, a juice box, and a water bottle. And I probably drop off like 20 a day just to make sure that people have something to eat during the day. And at the beginning, I was offering condoms and lube, and I thought that was too much. But then when I didn't do that, they were asking for them. So it's always difficult to know if you're doing the right thing or not. And my best thing that I like to do is ask the people what they need and then try to show up with that and make sure that they're getting everything that they need when they're getting services, and to have a list of at least know what kind of services are in your community. So when they ask for help, you can at least direct them. And that's the end of my presentation. And I think somebody's got something else coming up because I didn't do that. Oh, right. Oh, yes. So in the, I'll continue talking. Sorry, I didn't pull these ones up. In the embedded with the PowerPoint presentation, NWAC is going to provide everybody with the templates for the faceless dolls. So if you want to, for the younger people, if they want to do them just on paper and cut them out and color them, they can do that. But if you're a little bit older, and this can be geared to all ages, I just bought stuff to do a faceless doll seminar, and I found, you know, like the popsicles or the tongue depressors, that white ash. They cut them into like little people shapes. So I just got those and markers. So I have some adults who are attending who have physical limitations where they won't be able to cut out fabric or fiddle around with little tiny pieces. So I bought those wooden things with markers so they can decorate them. But the faceless doll templates will be included with the PowerPoint presentation for those people who want that. Is there another slide?
Yeah, I can take it from here, Kim. Thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you so much, Anissa. I'm just going to mute myself.
Thank you, Kim.
And
So now let's discuss constructing the faceless doll. So as Kim mentioned, there are 2 templates which offer participants with the option to either use your computer to color in the dolls or to assemble the doll physically with additional material. So originally, when the Faceless Dolls campaign was launched by NWAC, separate pieces were cut onto felt to create these dolls. If you choose to construct your doll this way, we kindly ask that you take a photo of the doll, and once completed, you upload it through the submission link that we'll provide to you. Conversely, you may choose to simply color in the doll using your computer and then upload it directly through the submission link. Once the campaign comes to a close, we will use all of the dolls that we collect and create a virtual tapestry. So now I'll hand it over to Monica, who will take us through some of the campaign resources, including the information sheet, which will serve as a sort of campaign guide, as well as an FAQ sheet, and to go over more details regarding submission, along with the timeline of the campaign. So I'll hand it to you, Monica.
Thank you, Anissa. I'm just pulling it up right now. Okay, so I don't know if you can see my screen. Just having a little bit of trouble sharing my screen. Sorry, just 1 second. Just having a little bit of trouble sharing my screen. So Anissa is going to pull the PowerPoint back up and then we will go through it. Hopefully my access will be fine. Okay, so perfect. So these resources are going to be shared after the presentation. They're going to be on the Amnesty website, as well as sent out in an email to all participants in this webinar. So just starting off, there is an information sheet that will be updated as needed. So that's the first Google document that you see here. Additionally, we have a frequently asked questions page that will be accessed, that you can access. it will be constantly updated for questions that come up, as well as questions that come up possibly during the Q&A during this presentation. There are two different templates. So in the previous PowerPoint slide, you can see the two different templates. So individuals have access to color them in using Microsoft Word. So by clicking the draw function and outlining and going through there. So that's a possibility, or printing them out and sending a picture of them. These are just templates, of course. Any other method that you would like to use to construct your doll is welcome. And then we will just be accepting pictures. So there is a Google link form submission that can be found just at the bottom here. So that Google form, you can simply just upload your picture of the doll. It can be a PDF document, it can be a Word document, or it can be a photo. And at the end, like Anissa mentioned, they will be constructed together. So if you have any questions after this presentation or after reviewing the documents, you can find our contact information as well in the frequently asked questions. And if your question isn't addressed in there. So now we'd like to open the floor for any questions that individuals may have. Just gonna keep an eye on the chat. It doesn't look like we have anything right now, but if anything comes up, please feel free to contact us. If you have a question for Kim, it's something that we won't be able to answer, we can forward it to Kim, or we can forward it to NWAC. So if there's anything, any concerns at all, or there's something that hasn't been addressed with the campaign, please let us know and we'll make sure that it gets to the right individuals. We want to thank you all so much. That brings us to the conclusion of this webinar. So Kim's mentioned in the chat that you can find her on Facebook, and she's typed out her name there. So there's that. Yeah. And I don't think there's anything else in here. And this recording will also be shared for future reference. So you can look back at it, and if anything comes up, feel free to ask. Thank you all so much. And thank you again, Kim, for joining us and speaking on behalf of MWAC. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you guys need me anymore? Or did you want me to stay on till everybody goes?